Why are these iPhones bending? Is it too thin? Is aluminum a bad material? I know some of you will disagree, but let me go on record to say that I think this whole bendgate issue is a bit overblown. Let me explain.
This has been blown so out of proportion. I know it's fun to have a story. It's less fun when you're on the other end of it.
Every smartphone will endure physical stress. We drop them, pour liquid on them, and I've woken up too many times with a smartphone imprint on my back. So these independent reviewers who produce videos that show how smartphones respond to stress are really important. But why are we so afraid that our smartphones will break? Beyond the obvious investment, it's really simple. We are growing more and more attached to them. Smartphones have become small windows that connect us to a larger world. A recent study concluded that moderate to heavy smartphone users experience separation anxiety when their smartphones are unexpectedly taken away. Another psychological study invented the term FOMO to describe a growing fear of missing out on things others are sharing on social media. We want to stay continuously connected to what others are doing on the internet. If our smartphones break, that connection is literally broken. I would even argue that these physical stress test videos are actually more important than the performance spec reviews I like to do in Ship Wars and Phone Wars. Actually, I'd like to do some of these type of videos in my own way on this channel. All companies that make and sell consumer electronics have to strike a balance between two, sometimes competing factors: engineering versus design. Designers like to ask, how can we make something that people actually enjoy using, while engineers ask, how do the laws of physics apply? And over the years, Apple distinguished itself as a company that gathers both engineers and designers under one roof to ask the question, how do our products actually work? And since the iPhone 4, Apple has been relentlessly pursuing a single goal: making their smartphones both thinner and lighter. Lighter smartphones are objectively better, especially when holding them up to your face for long periods of time, whether you're walking, at work, or in bed. But this design goal does create some engineering trade-offs.
Now, we're not perfect. Their bars will still drop by a bar or two. Just grip the phone in just the right place. We haven't figured out a way around the laws of physics. Yet.
These engineering decisions force the company to make some relatively expensive design trade-offs. Do you guys remember this one?
We want to give everybody a free case. Pick a case, Zoom, we'll send it off to you.
But overall, thinner is definitely better. For decades, the most successful computer companies have made their devices thinner, lighter, and more portable. But these design goals always must be balanced against durability, power consumption, and cost. But today's video is all about the latest iPhone 6 Plus bendgate controversy. First, the premise. Apple has always optimized the iPhone for single-handed use until now. The 6 Plus was the first iPhone optimized for two-handed use, but the company didn't expect people to do this. Side note, do not go into stores testing the merchandise. So let me try to explain everything behind bendgate using physics and geometry. So there are three engineering factors at play: pressure, torque, and the infamous bending moment. Pressure is the force divided by the area, torque is the rotational force, and the bending moment is the torque required to deform an object. So tons of people are really asking, will the iPhone 6 Plus stay bent? A Reddit user explained the problem isn't the aluminum or the materials, it's geometry. People recording videos of themselves bending the iPhone 6 Plus are using leverage to focus all their pressure on a particular weak point in the design. The pressure from bending concentrates the force on a particular weak point behind the volume buttons. I'm sure the engineers know that the volume buttons compromise the structural integrity of the chassis, but the designers know that users really want to have the volume buttons on the side, where they can access them with their thumbs. And because the iPhone 6 is relatively tall, these benders use the extra leverage to concentrate even more force on that particular weak spot. So when these guys try to bend the shorter devices, there's no way they're applying the same amount of pressure. But the Galaxy Note is definitely a more fair comparison. So some people ask, what about the material design, since the Galaxy Note uses a magnesium alloy? Well, the custom aluminum alloy in the iPhone 6 is closer to the aluminum used in transportation, like cars, boats, and airplanes. So in this case, both the magnesium and aluminum alloys have similar properties, except that the iPhone 6 aluminum alloy can be anodized in different colors. The real difference between the phones is the chassis, or the structural framework. The Galaxy Note relies on an internal chassis with an I-beam cross-section reinforcing the two plastic shells. This is the most likely reason the Note withstands the bend tests, while also making the device thicker and heavier. The I-beam adds just enough support. On the other hand, the iPhone and HTC One rely on a more expensive externally designed chassis. But the $750 question really is, will the iPhone 6 Plus hold up under normal use? Well, first we need to define normal use. Personally, I've dropped my phone on concrete, I've knocked it off the table, and I've fallen asleep on it way too many times. But in the 6 years I've used smartphones, I've never dropped it in water, or cracked the screen, or applied pressure on a single point. So for me, with a good case, I would be perfectly fine with the iPhone 6 Plus. Will the iPhone actually bend in your pocket? Like I said earlier, with enough force, anything will bend. So, rule of thumb, if you feel enough pressure that it's making you uncomfortable, take the phone out of your pocket and put it on the table. Will the iPhone actually bend in your pocket? Again, it depends on how much force is applied and how it's applied. Basically, if you feel the phone uncomfortable in your pocket, that's a sign to take it out and put it on the table. And finally, will the iPhone 6 Plus bend if you subject it to a so-called bend test? The answer is 100% yes. I'm sure Apple will reinforce the weak points, just like they moved the antennas from the sides to the top and bottom. But I'm also sure they definitely did not expect people to be subjecting the iPhone 6 Plus to these bend tests. And I'm personally impressed how the Gorilla Glass 3 withstood all the pressure from the bending. So in the end, these iPhone 6 Plus bending videos have really gone viral because they highlight a growing anxiety we feel when we lose or break our devices. But I do think the anxiety is just a bit exaggerated. In the big scheme of things, I'm willing to bet that most iPhones will be lost, stolen, or dented and scratched before they ever get bent. But in the end, I guess time will tell. So thank you guys for watching this episode of Beta. I just wanted to make this short and quick, giving you guys my thoughts on the whole bendgate controversy. Let's see how all this plays out over time, and I'm actually still working on the next Network Wars video where I want to cover AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, and Verizon, and compare the different services they're offering, the different promotions they're offering, and the different strategies they're using to improve their cellular networks over time, because a big part of owning a smartphone is the smartphone plan. And I think it's underestimated how much of our money actually goes towards the service versus the device. Even if you disagree with this video, please let me know in the comments. It keeps me on my toes and gives me a different perspective to think about how these things are changing. Because in the end, it's really us, the consumers, who are going to define what makes a great and successful device.